So, I am just getting the announcements put out that, hey, doing the stream, etc., etc. Once I've got those up, I will get started, switch over to the other camera. I'm not particularly awake today. Sorry, just am not, but it's okay. We're gonna go ahead and there we go. There's the stream announcements posted. Alright. So, we are on, I counted, and we should be on row 13, because this is row 8, where we've got the, that little rise. Hold on, let me see if I can adjust. Okay, that shows our stitches much better-ish. Sort of. Okay, but yes, we are on row 13, if I counted right. And there we go. Okay. So we're going to do rows 14 and 15, single chain around to 42 stitches, just where we've been. And then after that, we're going to start our decrease rows. And remember, last time when we wrote this, we were decreasing every other row. So, there's stitch 1. Come on. There, okay. So, I've had a semi-eventful week, I guess. Managed to replace my kid's bed with a, well, I did that last Saturday, but then after my stream on Sunday, took the bed apart, put the ladder on, because that was kind of needed, and then put it back together, so that was fun. Work was busy, but Tuesday I took off work because Tuesday I went and got my kids their second COVID vaccine. So we're like a week and a half out from everybody in our house being fully vaccinated. I also, yesterday, as I was running around doing errands, my elderly neighbor gives me a call and says, hey, I want you to come over. So I went over there after I finished my errands yesterday, and she's like, I want to give you some stuff. Turned out to be a box full of embroidery threads, sewing notions, things like that, and a big roll of quilt batten. So that'll be nice. And then she showed me a bunch of other stuff, and she's like, my kids don't do any crafting. They don't sew or crochet or knit or draw or paint or anything. And so I'm basically, when I pass, willing you to get pretty much everything in my crafting room. And I'm kind of floored by this because, I mean, she has a lot of really, really nice stuff. And also, like, she's saying one of her kids took her Kenmore sewing machine that her first husband had gotten her when they were newlyweds in like the late 1940s, early 1950s, and she said she wants to get that back from him, or from her kid, and give that to me. Okay, good. give that to me as well. And I'm just like, what? You know, I'm sure your kids would learn to use this stuff. But she says that no, they never showed any interest in it. She suspects that she won't be able to get the sewing machine back because she suspects her daughter just took it to sell as opposed to actually making use of it, which is definitely sad. I mean, don't get me wrong, you should always appreciate. I just realized you guys can't see what I'm actually doing. Sorry about the hairy chest, but I want you to actually see me stitching. But yeah, she doesn't think her kids will really appreciate the crafting items, and that's why she wants to give them to me, because she knows they'll actually get used. I was so floored by the box of sewing notions that I have not even tried to go through it. So I know that it had a ton of buttons and embroidery floss, and I've been trying to get back into cross-stitching, and so that will be fun for me to go through and do. Oh goody, we're doing the shoulder goes completely numb thing early today. Good job, body. I also discovered that my mimosa seeds, because I had put them into, I got a little grow kit for a mimosa pudica, is it? Anyway, it's called the sensitive plant or the shame plant by most, because if you touch the leaves, then they fold up. And I have never successfully grown anything from seed. So, I normally just toss the seeds out and they do nothing. So seeing it actually grow is very exciting. And I also got a Venus flytrap at one of the local stores, and then I discovered that the pot that I transplanted it into is not actually good for a Venus flytrap, so I'm going to need to fix that. But the pot I have transplanted it in is gorgeous and glorious, and I love it, because it looks like a watermelon. And when the Venus flytrap gets more healthy, because right now it is not very healthy, it wasn't getting nearly enough light in the grocery store, and so it does not, it was the red centers of the leaves that we are so familiar with, to mimic the look of meat, were actually green, which is what the Venus flytrap does when it is trying to rely solely on photosynthesis. Because photosynthesis is actually the normal way that Venus flytraps get their food. But they supplement with eating bugs, because unlike most plants, Venus flytraps cannot get any, they do not absorb food from the soil, because they naturally grow in very poor soil. The reason why they tend to grow there is because they are very low-lying, and poor soil means that other taller plants tend not to grow in that area. You'll regularly, in their native habitat, see them growing in drainage ditches that have a lot of road runoff, like gravel, places that are not quite boggy but fairly close. Wait, if I could just find the perfect angle for this. But you know, lots of areas where you just don't see other plants because the quality of the soil is incredibly poor, and that's why they developed the mechanism for eating other things such as insects. But if you give a Venus flytrap proper sunlight and light, and they have enough of that they can photosynthesize, they technically don't need to eat anything. Now, I'm hoping that mine will eat the gnats that, you know, show up in our house sometimes. Right now I've got a bunch of, I think they're called fungus gnats, and they have decided that my succulent tanks are an excellent spot to live and eat, and so I'm hoping very much that the Venus flytrap, which is sitting right next to the tanks, will help with that somewhat. And then, okay, so that was row 15 finished. Okay, so here we're starting the decrease rounds. One moment, gotta get a drink. Sorry. Okay, so here we're starting the decrease rounds, which, let's see, round 16, decrease, 12 single crochet, and then repeat. Okay. I will, by the way, be showing the pattern at the end of the completed stream. Or maybe I'll just show you guys the pattern for the legs at the end of the fourth stream, or the fourth leg being completed. And then, sorry, I keep having to adjust because I just cannot get comfortable today, which is annoying. Okay, so decrease, 12, decrease again. So I'm going to have to be counting, which means I will probably be kind of boring wall. Talking. This is not going to be invisible if I do it that way. Did I work from the outside last time? I don't think I did. And yet, I'm starting to think I must have. Because otherwise, I can't have done the invisible decrease that I love so much. Hold on just a second. I have to pull out the other plushie and take a look. I did work from the outside last time. Okay. That's why. Alright. So, and I can tell that because holding this yarn tail is coming out in this direction, which probably makes no sense to anyone but me. Yeah. Okay, so here, let me show what I'm talking about here. So on this plushie, this leg, the right here. the yarn tail goes this way. It goes towards what is the left. On this one, the yarn tail, when we cut, is going to be going to the right. So that, I'm working from the inside when I should be working from the outside, and that's why those invisible decreases are going to be a bit trickier. I'll still pull it off, but it's just going to be a harder task to do, and I don't know how I managed that. I am unsurprised. I manage bizarre things all the time, but that's one I wasn't expecting. Okay, anyhow, so we got our first decrease. Now we're going to do 12 stitches, so it's going to be 13 stitches in every, oh right, I've already added that, in every grouping. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Alright, here's stitch 13. Now we're going to decrease again. Okay, so since I managed to screw up on how I was setting this up, oh, that was, what was that noise? Oh, thank you for that follow, Shirey. Okay, so since I managed to screw up and we are working from the inside when we should be from the outside, I'm going to show you what I'm doing on this stitch for the invisible decrease. Now, if I were working from the outside, then I would go into this part of the stitch, so under that first one. But since I'm working from the inside, I'm having to go into the back loop stitch only, and then this back loop stitch of the stitch next to it, which makes it a bit more difficult because that one does not want to go through. Then I pull through both those to get, and one of them got stuck because this is a splitty yarn. Anyhow, but then I do my loop, and see, now you can't see that that's a decrease from the outside, which is why I use the invisible decrease from Planet June. I'm just having to do, as I said, a slightly trickier version because I was a derp and worked from the inside rather than the outside. Okay, so that was 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Now remember, we're working in multiples of 3. 21, 22, because we don't want this to decrease too fast. 23, 24. So 13 was our number last time, so this one should be 26, which will be this stitch here. Alright, so 26. Now, we're going to decrease again. Same way, working only in those back loops, which is, again, so inconvenient. There we go. Alright. So, then that's 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33. Now if we did everything right, we're going to come out on 39, 34, 35, so somewhere I messed up, because that's going to give me 38. Let me double check my math. I might be wrong on this. I screwed up somewhere. Where did I screw up? Okay. Pulling that out. It could be just a matter of I counted wrong. So I'm going to double check that first. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38. Yep, I'm going to have to pull this row out. Okay, that's okay. That's part of the process of making things, is pulling out stitches as required. It's just a thing you get used to having to do. So, now before I go too far, I'm going to pull out this decrease too. And we're going to make sure that I actually had the right number of stitches in this previous round to see where we went wrong. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41. Okay, so we're going to have to back up even more. Somehow, we are missing a stitch that we're supposed to have. Crud. I just realized I kind of screwed things up because I didn't pay attention to where that was. So we're actually going to have to pull out every round back to here. So let me get a stitch marker in that one, but we are undoing quite a few rounds, so let's just phrase it that way. Okay, this is doable. Not my first rodeo with this. Would have preferred not to have to do this, but oh well. C'est la vie. Thankfully, it's crochet. Poor friend of mine just yesterday had done a ton of knitting on a blanket. Like they had been working for years on it, and something that I don't remember happened yesterday, but it had caused them to remove their needles from the already performed work. Yeah. Well, we'll see. Okay, give me a minute. Let me do my counting. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Actually, no. You know what? I was thinking maybe I could, but I'd rather pull it all out and be sure than just kind of think maybe and be wrong. Okay. So, here we go. We are now on the first stitch of what will be round 9. Okay. Like I said, it's okay. And I'd rather people see the mistakes being made than assume that their crochet, if they do make mistakes like this, is wrong and bad. Okay, so actually I pulled all the way back to round 7. So now we're starting round 8, which is our, in this case, front loop only, because I'm working from the wrong part. So, front loop only, stitching around. I'm going to count as we go to try and catch where I made the error last time. So 1, 2, 3. Can you guys actually see what I'm doing? Okay, good. 4. 5. You know what? I just realized this actually presents me a unique opportunity. Un momento. Pulling back again. Okay. So here's what we're going to do. We are going to make sure we keep this one. So, because I had to pull all that out, I've just realized I can now switch which direction this plushie is. So, I'm pulling this stitch, that loose yarn tail, through to here. So now it's on the inside. And now we can work from the outside the way that we were supposed to be. Meaning I don't have to do that weird front loop version, and I can work from back loop only as I had initially intended. So there we go. Back loop 1. Now, every now and then mistakes turn out to be a good thing. Well, no. It's all part of the learning process. It's still a good thing. It's just annoying. Okay, so 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. Promise I'll stop counting once I've done this round, just to be sure. So, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42. Okay, we're back on track. So, once we've got this round completed, we will be starting row 9, and it's row 9 through row 15 that are just single chain around, okay? And when we get to row 15 is when I will count again to make certain we didn't do the same thing we did last time and somehow skip a stitch in there. Okay, so now that I'm not having to count every stitch, I want to talk about Juneteenth. That was yesterday. It is a national holiday now, which is excellent. It is a celebration of the day that the Emancipation, I believe that the Emancipation Proclamation was ratified, I think. Signed? Maybe. I'm not sure. Regardless, it is viewed as a holiday for a celebration of the freedom of the slaves. The problem is, for 2 years following it, thank you, 10-9. That is excellent. So according to 10-9, it is the day that the last slaves in Texas got the news. So excellent there. But there were people who did not share that news for 2 years after the slaves were freed, and kept them as slaves. They were only freed. They were only released when people were forced to tell them. Hold on, I have to get a drink again. But even after that, the economy was set up in such a way that they still weren't really freed. They could still be paid poverty wages. They just had to be paid them something. And though that economic situation was still set up in such a way that people just really never could get ahead, and that's why we have such incredible disparities now. And the prison industrial complex being what it is, it's basically legal slavery. Civil War is historically viewed as a socialist revolution in the U.S. Yeah, I can see that. But what I want primarily to talk about is what yes, drugs were made illegal to keep slaves. The war on drugs as it is basically a excuse to keep people in the prison system by the fact that they're doing something illegal, even though these are, marijuana is, well, now it's not a crime anyway, and yet all of these people that were criminalized and put in prison for smoking pot or carrying pot or selling pot are now not being released, even though it is no longer a crime, so they're being falsely imprisoned. Anyhow, what I wanted to talk about, though, is what people like me, who are white, can do to support people who are black. Yeah, yes, Macy's and a bunch of other companies use slave labor for profit in prisons because it's legal to be a slave if you're in jail. There are even call centers that use prisoners as who takes their calls in many cases, and so a lot of corporations, you can always look online and find out what corporations are using slave labor of this sort. Anyhow, so what I did yesterday to effectively celebrate Juneteenth, and this is something that I've been doing every year for some time, but I went and did just a search of black-owned businesses and my city name. And if you are like me and you are incredibly white and have never had to suffer the effects of systemic racism, this is one of the best things you can do, is supporting black-owned businesses in your area. I highly recommend shopping local, but in my case, I ended up finding a list of black-owned restaurants in my city, and I shared several of them that I have already gone to, that I am already aware of, on my Twitter yesterday. You can always go to check that if you are interested in black-owned businesses, black-owned restaurants here in Tulsa, Oklahoma, where I live. But it is at Mason Lloyd 6 if you want to check that out. But I make it a point every Juneteenth, and sometimes in between, to do a search for black-owned businesses in my city and pay at least one of them a visit. Yesterday it was a restaurant called Waffled At, which is actually not, well, it's pretty close to where I will be. Well, it's like 4.5 miles from my house, so really not that far. It is a restaurant that serves nothing but chicken and waffles, and I got some for lunch, and it was so delicious that I brought what I didn't finish for lunch home, let my partner and kids try it, and they also felt it was excellent, so we ended up ordering it for the whole family for dinner. So we supported them twice. You can also, on things like Etsy, you can look for black-owned businesses there. They do have ways you can filter to only look for black-owned businesses or LGBT businesses, things like that. That's another excellent way to support them. See, this, by the way, is, so that was round 9. This is round 10. Okay. So just try to do what you can to support black-owned businesses. I mean, we should be doing it year-round. It should not just be, oh, we only do this on Juneteenth. Just like LGBT businesses, again, shouldn't just be doing it in June because it's Pride Month. We should be doing it year-round. But by supporting small local businesses, especially those run by minorities, we can do a world more good than all of the... Well, that's good. I'm glad you've got those 2 POC-owned dispensaries that you go to. But we can do a world more good by supporting those small businesses than any amount of, talking about it on Twitter or just saying Happy Juneteenth, etc., etc. Putting our money where our mouth is very important. I, around Christmas, made it a point that what presents I could were purchased from small businesses that were, in that case, Native American owned, because at the time I was very focused on things like the Keystone Pipeline and what can we do to actually support Native Americans. And so I was able to get my mother a set of mucklucks that were handmade by a Native-owned company, which she adores. She thinks they are the best things ever, which they were very beautiful and very comfortable, apparently. And my father, I managed to find a small native press that had a book that a local one, that one. The mucklucks were not local, but, they were the only source I could find for these, and I really wanted to get her either mucklucks or moccasins. Yes, there are a lot of POC and minority-owned pot shops. I just don't shop at them, as we know. I have never been one to smoke it or take it in any other way. I'm fairly certain the place that I get my son that takes its CBD gummies is owned by a Middle Eastern man, so there's that at least. But anyhow, do what you can if you have the opportunity, and I get it. Believe me, I get it. Not everyone can shop small. Not everyone can shop local. Sometimes you just don't have the money to have the luxury of doing that. Your only choice pretty much is Walmart or Amazon, or maybe you can't get out of your house very well, so you have to shop mostly on Amazon because you can't afford shipping fees from, hold on, I have to adjust again, because of course I did. Seriously, getting real tired of my body right now. But so you have to shop on Amazon because you can't afford shipping otherwise. Or you have to shop on Walmart because you can't afford to go to local stores. You just can't pay the prices for, honestly, the better quality goods. I get it. I've been there. I hold it against nobody if they have to do that. If you have the opportunity, though, it's always good to try it. But I also recognize that in this case, I am definitely speaking from a place of privilege, because I have a good paying job that allows me to make those choices. Just like I can choose to do things like crochet, which sometimes, yarn can be expensive, especially good quality yarn. Most of what I work with is acrylics, and I feel bad because not too good for the environment, but at the same time, most of what I'm making is being made for small children, who, if I make them something out of wool, it's not going to be machine washable. It's not going to be very good for the for plushie, because you can't get it clean properly, or at least a new mom is not going to have the time and energy. This particular plushie is going to a little kid who their mom and dad both work. Wool doesn't have to be itchy. It depends on what the wool is. I've gotten alpaca wool, which is beautifully soft, not itchy at all. But again, expensive. And again, not machine washable. The way to make wool machine washable is with a chemical treatment, which is a different bad for the environment. So it's really a trade-off. But given that I am making this for my niece, who both her parents work 40 hours a week. They also have a new-ish, she'll be a year next month, baby in the house. Not the one that this is going for, but her little sister. They just can't afford the time and energy that it will take to wash things by hand, especially a plushie. So I do use acrylics to make toys for small children. I do on my Etsy shop have the occasional thing where I offer what I call 95% natural plushies. They are not toys, they are display pieces. And they are made from wool, and they are stuffed with actual cotton instead of polyfiber. And the only thing that is not natural on them is the eyes, which I use plastic safety eyes. However, if someone wanted a 100% natural one, I could get glass eyes and use that. It would just raise the price by a lot, because glass eyes are a lot more expensive than plastic ones. But most of the glass eyes are hand painted and are absolutely gorgeous. So that would be an option if someone were wanting to have a 100% natural plushie. Maybe I should start offering that as one of the customization options. Right now all of the customization is like shape or color, things like that. That was round 11, by the way. We're now on round 12. But I do care about the environment quite a bit. I try to reduce my carbon footprint in other ways. That's another part of shopping local, by the way, is if you're buying things that are grown locally, created locally, then you're not causing a increased carbon output in the form of shipping costs or shipping production, things like that. Now, I will say, yes, we should be trying to decrease the over-the-road trucking and the planes carrying things like that, but they are not the major cause of global warming and things of that nature. It is not those truck emissions, and it is absolutely not cows or agriculture that's doing it. Those are both a far, far smaller than the manufacturing and the output from factories, and in a lot of cases from energy production, things like that. Yes, the air quality was better when the pandemic was happening. In the U.S. military is, yes, the biggest producer of pollutants in the world. If you look at not only the vehicles, but also the manufacturing to produce those vehicles, to produce those guns, to produce those outfits, the fact that they have so many things that are single use and packed in plastic. Hello, Mervin. Nice to see you there as well. But yes, there is definitely a lot of pollution that comes from the U.S. military. This is not to say that I don't support the troops. I absolutely do. I just don't support the people who are sending them off to war when they themselves would never put themselves in that position. Some things you can do, by the way, to help and reduce your pollution. There are options for okay, so let's talk about single-use plastics. One of the biggest things that a local consumer can do. Okay, again, corporations and the military are far bigger pollutants. The plastic in the ocean has nothing to do with plastic straws. It is primarily fishing nets from corporate fishing, because they fish, they trawl the oceans, they drag in things. When a net gets damaged, they don't repair it, they just cut it loose and let it go into the ocean. That is the majority of the Pacific garbage patch, just so people know. Don't ever feel guilty about using plastic straws. They are a wonderful accessibility option for people who have disabilities. Do I have metal straws at home? Yes, but that's for at home. And if I'm going out to a restaurant and they give me a straw, I'm not going to feel bad about using a plastic straw. Now, if they give you the option of no straw, I'll generally choose that one. But that's more because I'm weird and really don't like using straws where I can help it. And it has nothing to do with pollution. I just don't like the feel of them. So I'm a weirdo. But things you can do to reduce your usage of single-use plastics at home. 1, buy in bulk sizes so you can get more with less packaging. 2, there are options for things like plastic wrap of reusable silicone covers, which plastic but reusable. For things that need smaller sizes, there are plenty of reusable BPA-free bags that you can get that you can just wash. But my favorite one for wrapping food is there are actually cloth options that are sealed with beeswax, which means that you can just run them under the water, wash them, and then reuse them as needed. Those are all available online that you can get, or I'm sure if I were to really dig, I could find local sources. But there are options you can have. Okay, so this is finishing round 12, I think. So, let's see, 9, 10, 11. Is it? That's actually round, this is round 8. This is the top of round 8. So 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. It's a good thing I pulled all that out because I was in the wrong spot anyway. So you can also get glass. The only problem I have with glass is I have my spouse and me and 2 13-year-old boys. All of us are incredible klutzes. So we are very prone to knocking things over, breaking things, inadvertently, never on purpose, but it results in lots of broken glass when we do that. The good thing about broken glass is it can be used for other things. Broken plastic, not so much. I have been working on replacing my various plant pots with ceramic or glass or metal options. I actually am, once I finish this crafting stream, going to have to go out and buy a diamond drill bit because my Venus flytrap is currently in a pot that does... I was talking about this earlier and got completely distracted, forgot to finish it. My Venus flytrap is in a pot that has 0 drainage holes, which is terrible, and therefore means that I went out and got 2 more pots tomorrow. One is shaped like a lemon as opposed to a watermelon, and is going to be my practice pot. If it turns out that I can safely put holes using the diamond drill bit into a ceramic pot, I'm going to test it on the lemon pot first, and if it works, I'll use that and plant like lemon balm or something similar in it. If I break it, then I have another watermelon one to test on, and if that one works, I'll be moving the Venus flytrap into the watermelon pot because I want to water by placing them in a dish that has water in it so that they can soak up water from beneath, which is primarily how a Venus flytrap gets its water from in the wild instead of having it, rain down on them. They do tend to live in places that have fairly moist soil, but a lot of that moisture comes from groundwater, not from rain. Like they live in places where it rains a lot, but a lot of they don't absorb it through their leaves and stuff, so it's much better to let them absorb it from beneath. I also apparently have to give them distilled water instead of Or rainwater, if that's an option, which I guess it could be. I really need to get a proper rain barrel set up. My big concern with rain barrels is that most of the current methods available for that are, again, plastic. They are at least reusable, but they're also very expensive for being plastic. It's annoying. If I were to do that, I think maybe if I got window screen and large, probably glazed ceramic is what I would want to do. Possibly wood, but maybe. Oh, so UV proof plastic. Okay, gotcha. Makes sense. But I think if I used ceramic instead, glazed ceramic, then that would be UV proof without having to use plastic. And I could use window screening to prevent insects from breeding in the water, which trying to cut down on mosquitoes, definitely. I did pick up a swallow house. I need to get that, if even an iota of... algae I can deal with. Algae's not an issue. Hell, I could deal with that. Well, putting a coreopsis in would... yeah. I could still water with algae-prone water, couldn't I? Okay, so 9, or 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Yeah, 13. Why can't we water with algae water? Is it going to hurt the plants? Well, it might for a Venus flytrap. Ah. So it would be deoxygenated water. Okay, gotcha. Thankfully, most of my plants are not so delicate and can have tap water just fine. I can't remember if this is going to be round... Okay, so that's 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Okay, so I'm starting around 14, I think. Gotcha, okay. Right. Okay, well, then I'm just probably going to pick up distilled water for the Venus flytrap, because it's not expensive, and, well, yes, I could, well, I guess I could pour it into the composter, maybe. Okay, well, anyway. It was an idea, I thought, but okay. Maybe I could find another way to go about it. Well, how does the water get into the barrel, then, if it's not allowed to have any light? So... it just doesn't rain here enough to try and do it on a smaller scale. My house doesn't even have gutters. So, okay. Oh, nuts. Alright. Pipes go into a big barrel or a series of barrels. Okay. Yeah, my house doesn't have gutters. I need to fix that, but not going to, because we've put enough money into this house that we don't want to put more in. Okay, so we're coming up on round 15. Round 15 is going to be the last of the just single chain around. After I finish round 15, I'll go ahead and count stitches, make certain I've got the right number, Once I've completed that, I can once I've got that for certain and I know, then we can start our decrease rounds. But we don't want to have the same issue we did earlier where it turned out I was off on my number of stitches and had to pull it back all the way to the back loop only round, because that was fun. Okay, so one more round of single crochet. I might end up calling the stream once I finish this next round. I'm not certain. A friend of mine who actually does monetize their stream is going to be doing a stream at 2 p.m. my time or 4 p.m. my time? I'd have to look at her stream schedule, but I just want to make certain that I am not going to be conflicting with her stream, because again, I don't monetize mine. I have a job that I don't need to monetize my stream, but I absolutely want to support people that do monetize theirs, because they are living the dream. Me, I don't have the mental energy to try and turn streaming into a full-time thing. This is a hobby for me that I am using primarily to try and encourage me to actually do crafting, because I do want to craft. I just never find time or energy unless I set aside time for something like this. Okay, so once we finish this round, we're going to count stitches, and then I'll take a look at the time and see where we can go from here. I might do the next 2 rows, so the first row of decrease. I would really like it if this shoulder would stop going numb. Maybe I should crochet at the other end of the couch. Next week. But I think once I'm done here, I got I feel like we're making good progress, even though we had to back out of so much of what had been done. It's a shame, but it is what happens. So, alright. And let's see. Okay. We are now finally reaching towards the end of the, okay, here's this pile of yarn because I had to pull it out. So we're getting to new yarn now that isn't so twisty because it's already been used and then pulled out. Anyhow, yes, reuse, recycle, try to limit your single-use plastics. We're now starting to use cloth bags here at home where we can when we go grocery shopping. And the non-cloth, if we do go to a store and we end up with plastic bags, we save those and use them to line small trash cans. We use them when we take out the kitty litter. Things like that. I do know that for my city, a lot of the garbage actually gets burnt to generate power. We're trying in my city itself to move away from producing power by burning coal and oil and things like that. We do have an excellent recycling program So my city's making some steps. Do I think it's enough? Not really, but it's at least something. And they do have, thank goodness, scrubbers on the places where they do burn trash for fuel, because those scrubbers are excellent at helping to remove emissions from the smoke as it comes out of the plants that do that. Okay, so we are now on round, we've just finished round 15, so we are moving here to the first of the decrease rounds. Let me go ahead and count stitches just to make certain we don't have that issue again. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42. Okay, we are back on track compared to where we were last time we got to this point. I've got time. I can do a few more rounds. Okay. Alright, so invisible decrease, and because we're working from the right side now, we just go under the front loop, pull through, and voila. Decrease doesn't show up on the plushie. Not that the other method is bad, it's just I like for a smoother plushie as much as possible. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, so from here we will be decreasing by 3 stitches every other round. Alright, decrease again. 14. 16. Sorry, I'm counting again. 22, 23, 24, 25, 26. Alright, so here's our last decrease for this round. 8, 29, 30. We should come out at 39 stitches when we're done. 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, and 39. Perfect. Okay. Alright, so that was round 16. We're now going to do round 17, which is, again, 39 single crochet. I can chat on this one because I don't have to count. Okay. So, I think we're coming up on the end of the stream, though. I'm probably going to end it here at 45 after the hour, just because I don't want to risk running into Catherine's time. So, let's see. Recap. What have we talked about? Juneteenth and supporting black-owned businesses. We have also, here we go again. We also talked about supporting any small local business, POCs, things like that. Reducing your carbon footprint where you can. I know that Mervin, who was, I don't know if he's still here, but he was watching earlier, he actually on Saturdays runs a stand at his local farmers market, helping with doing that, helping people to shop local, helping people to support a smallish business. I don't know what, I know roughly his area, but I certainly couldn't tell you what farmers market stand you could find him at. We also talked about the fact that you should be, if it's an option, again, if it's an option, you should be using single-use where you can, or reusable items where you can, avoiding single-use plastics. I know that for me, I end up buying a lot of stuff that comes in single-use containers because while I am working towards not even losing weight at this point, just maintaining my weight so I don't go higher up the scale before my upcoming surgery, I do use a lot of those because I can get things that are already packaged into single serving sizes. But I'm trying to offset that by using reusable things for my meals to try and use less plastic where I can. But given that I have to prep all of my meals a week, or well, the Sunday before I start my work week, because I do not have time to individually cook every day when I'm working. So I end up with a lot of, okay, this is going in Tupperware, and the Tupperware will just get used over the course of the week. Things like that. I hope I don't get mad at myself about it. I have to recognize that for my lifestyle, for the fact that I can't afford to cook individual meals every day, I don't have the energy, I don't have the time. You have to look at what you can reasonably do without harming yourself too much, and then make those choices that are best for both you and for the environment. We who care have a tendency to get paralyzed by the guilt of, I should be doing more, I should be doing better, and feeling so overwhelmed by the enormity of the task that we find ourselves presented with, that we burn out. We burn out, we feel like we can't do anything right, so why bother? Don't let yourself fall into that trap. Don't feel guilty for making the choices that you need to make for your health and well-being. Do what you can. Try to find new things you can do when the option presents. But don't let yourself become so burnt out that you can't do anything. The most important thing that any of us in the U.S. can do is to vote. To vote for people who are going to make the changes that we ourselves as individuals cannot make. Because those choices are going to do so much more. So 12. Now we decrease again. Does the fact that we are voting for progressive policies absolve us entirely from the need to try to reduce our pollution, our carbon footprint? No. But we as individuals can't do nearly as much as progressive policies can. Okay, I gotta count real quick because I lost track on there. Gotta make sure I'm at 24, so un momento. Okay, I'm where I thought I was. Good. Alright, so last decrease for this round. So that makes it 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36. Okay, yeah. Right where I need to be on this. And then we're going to do one more round. And I think I'm going to be smart and mark down on my pattern where we're stopping today. I didn't last time, which led to me being confused about things and having the wrong stitch count and all sorts of issues. So this time I'll be smart. I'll mark down, okay, stopped here. So we just completed round 18, so we're about to do round 19, and then we're going to stop. Each leg has 31 rounds total. So, I do think I'm going to put up another poll this week. The poll is, well, no. The poll, I'm not going to do that. Because I really do want this entire process to be filmed, because I want to show people start to finish the full process of making one of these plushies. And I mean stuffing it, seaming it together, making all of the separate pieces, finishing off. I want people to see it all, because I want people to know, one, it's something that is easier than it sounds, because it's something you can do yourself. You can learn to do this, but I also want people to see just how time-consuming it is to hand make a custom plushie, so that people realize that if people are asking for a fair wage for their crafting, then this is everything that goes into it. So they can see that they are definitely paying what that plushie is worth, given the amount of time and energy and effort that is going into every single handmade object. Okay? Am I doing it for fun? Yeah. But people need to know what they're paying for. And people need to know that the importance of giving crafters fair payment for what they're making. 10-9 is an artist. I have watched what she does. I have seen just how difficult it is. There is not a button that is make good art. Okay. I've seen the hours of work she puts into pieces. And she needs to be paid fairly for those. I mean, you're not doing art as much anymore now because you don't have the ability to, for the most part, but still pay artisans what they're worth. And if they're asking for a certain price, more often than not, you're getting a really good deal, because most artisans aren't charging what they're actually worth. The ones that are the ones who have worked very hard to know what they are worth. Okay, so we just finished round 19. And there we go. Alright, I've got that saved for next week. We'll go ahead. I'm going to end the stream here. I hope that everyone has a beautiful rest of their week. I hope everyone stays safe, that everyone is kind to one another, and kind to themselves as well. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I hope you guys all come back to see me next week. And don't feel bad if you can't. This is for fun, but you have a good one, okay? Bye.